Hi everybody. I don't know if you saw my video about how to sew on the tube to the to a square without cutting your circle out to make a bucket or a trash can or whatever you scrap can or whatever you want to make. I think you could make a little heart bucket with Valentine's Day coming up, or a little something for making Christmas cookies bucket. But in any case, I think you can make some cool things with it. But I'm going to show you how to draw using your software for the MySewNet crafting software onto your fabric so you can make whatever color shape you want. Now, when you're making your circles, your circle, your outside circle, um, which is where your tube attaches to, is always going to be a half inch bigger than your inner circle, because your outer circle, when we do our basic shape, which is a circle, is going to be, oh, come on now. So let's say we're going to make a, oh, shall we make it a 12-inch diameter circle? So for ease, I'm making it go to 12 inches, which is right against the edge of, so here's 0 to 12, so I'm bringing it out to 12. 0 to 12. So there's, honestly, why are things never cooperative when you're trying to demonstrate them? Okay, so here's 0 to 12. So that's a 12-inch circle. But that is not going to be the diameter of your tube. So that's kind of what I always was thinking, that that's the diameter of my tube. But oh no, au contraire, that is not what you want. The diameter of your tube needs to be a 1/4 inch inside of that. So in your pattern, this is, if you sew your tube together and that matches to your circle, if you're going to cut your circle out and do that, no, no, no. It needs to be a 1/4 inch inside of that. But take my advice, try it without cutting your circle out. Draw your circle out, or use your crafting software to draw your circle out. So first of all, go to this path, cut, and change the type from cut to pen. And you are going to change the pen from marker to marker 3.5 because you want it wide. And I'm going to change my pen color to black because I want it nice and black. But you can put whatever one thing you want, and we're not going to add a border or anything like that. And for now, we're going to make this go away because we're going to just kind of put this in here and take that line away. And we don't want to make that smaller. We want to zoom back in. Okay. Now we don't need our stitching line because we're going to line the edge of our tube up with this. And we're just going to put our tube along the line, pin a few lines, and move this down a little bit more. So say we're just going to put it in here, and that's going to be our center. But we don't need a stitching line because we know that we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch from the edge of this line. This is the edge of our fabric, but we're not cutting it. And this is the edge of our tube. So, but this is not the circumference of the tube. The circumference is a 1/4 inch in from that tube. So if, say, you needed to know how big that is, this is a 1/4 inch. So this is an inch, this is a 1/2 inch, and this is a 1/4 inch. So what if you wanted to know if you were right, what you would do, easiest thing to do, uh, circumference, let's see, let's go over, see if I remember, go over to a new tab here and say circumference formula. 2 pi times the radius is circumference. Constant pi times the radius of the circle. If you want to go to all that trouble, feel free. But the easiest thing I think to do is to make another circle. Let's just make a duplicate. And then we just line one side up, and we need to make it so the radius needs to be a 1/2 inch less. So the radius needs to be a 1/4 inch less on each side, which means it's a 1/2 inch less. So we just bring this in a 1/2 inch here. I have to keep it at the side. Okay, so this is a 1/2 inch. So now if I move this back over to the center, see how that's a 1/4 inch in all the way? So now if I wanted to run my tape measure all the way around here, I would know that's how long I would want to make my tube, plus a 1/2 inch for my seam allowance. Although I suppose that this might actually be how long I want to make my tube minus my 1/2 inch seam allowance. Anyway, just follow a pattern. That's probably easier. All right, so what we want to do now is draw our line. So here's our center, and we want to add a vertical line, and it needs to go through the center. And we might have wanted to notice where the center was, and it's on 9.5. So go back to here, and we're going to take this. I'm going to delete that because it's not straight now. So I'm going to add a vertical line and put it on 9.5. Delete it again. Now I'm going to put it on 9.5 because I'm going to put this on 9.5. Vertical line. I'm going to do box select. Come on now. This is being totally uncooperative for me today. Let's go. You need to move. It needs to be straight up and down, but it needs to be over. It needs to be over. Oh, I'm going to click this select. I'm going to do box select here. No? Oh yeah. No, not crooked. Here we go. Now we can move over here to 9.5. We need it to be, oh great, we didn't need to move it above. Undo, undo. We want it to be outside of the circle, but not outside the circle, but not crooked. Come on. Why are we being totally uncooperative? Okay. Delete. Not gonna do this. Start again. Okay, we're gonna do object, add vertical line. I need to zoom in. So I need to move it over to the 9.5. Okay, so now we're on 9.5. We need to move it up just a little bit so it's outside of the straight, because we need it to be straight. All right, that looks like it's outside of both things. And we could change the color if we wanted so we could really tell it. Okay. But we could do that over here. Marker. Make it red. Okay. I don't know why it didn't. Yeah, there we go. So now that's red. And now we can add a horizontal line. We need to be able to see the numbers here. That needs to be through 9.52. Right there. 9.5 and 9.5, so those are both going through the center. And if we wanted to change that to That's a score, so we need to change that to a pen also. Marker 3.5. I don't know why it's so pen marker. I don't know why it's not being so highly cooperative with me. And then red. And then we need to, I'm going to select the two of these things together. Can I group? So I've selected both of these. I'm going to duplicate, and then I am going to rotate it. Sure I am. Yes, you say, Sally. Sure you are. I'm going to zoom out. No, not zoom in. I'm going to zoom out so I have more control. I've got to rotate it, and then I've got to move it, and I got to be able to zoom in, right, so I can see that I'm over the center. So I need to be, let's zoom right into the very center. So what we want is we want it to be right on the center. And we want these lines to be going right over right through these square lines. So through the center. So if these two lines were square, then these two lines should be square. So these should be going through the lines perfectly squarely. So then if I have eighths up, so these are quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, so eighths. So you've eighths up your circle, your tube, and you've eighths up your circle. This needs to be drawn on the right side of your fabric. And then you match up these on your tube, and you match, these are drawn on the wrong side of the straight lines are drawn on the wrong side of your tube, and these lines are drawn on the right side of your circle, on the right side of your fabric, so that you can see when you're lining them up together. And so now they're drawn perfectly, should be lined up perfectly. It might not be, but you'll have to look at it closely. And then you will just draw, then if it'll fit on more, you may be able to draw more than one on a piece of fabric depending on how big they are. If you're making little pencil cases for little presents, you can draw them on one piece. You can do a whole bunch at once. If not, you will have to do one at a time, but that is how you would draw them out, and I think that is super pretty cool how that works out. And you could do that with whatever shape you wanted to do it with. Like, so now this is centered, you could probably take it out use, like say I wanted to do a different shape. Since I have this all nice and centered, it might, that's not a design, dang it. Yeah, that's how my brain's working these days. Not very, so I could take and add a basic shape. So I was thinking a heart might be fun to do, but you could figure out whatever you wanted to make. Let's see if there's a heart in here or a little flower. I'm not sure if a flower would work. I thought that might be kind of fun too. But say we were wanting to do a heart for Valentine's Day. So this is all centered out. So now we would just have, we wouldn't want to do undo. So now the heart's centered. So let's change this to a pen line marker 3.5. And we'll leave it blue. But now leave this, make sure your mark is in the center. So see, now you have the line lined up in the center. So now you can just draw this out because it's already centered. How cool is this? You've already got it centered. Now you don't even have to draw out your lines again. In fact, I suppose you could have drawn out these X's first and then put on your circle second. But so see how you, and I think I'm right. If you measure the outside of this heart, that is going to be the circumference of the outside edge before the seam allowance, and the seam allowance is going to be a 1/2 inch of the tube. You'll have to test me. I could be wrong. I haven't tested it myself. I've just told you that. But so see, you could test that out with whatever shape you wanted to do. Wouldn't that be fun to make some little heart-shaped things? Or what other shapes are there in here? So let's take out the heart. See what other shape there is in here. Sample shapes. These would be pretty. These little interesting shapes are these other here. This little nice kind of curvy shape for a little candy dish here. Shape, little short little dishes, even little. Anyway, you guys will have to let me know if you try some other shapes. I'm going to try some other shapes and see how they work. Ooh, I kind of think it might be fun to make some rounded shapes like this. Some square-ish. Not round, but see, they'd be like a square. So you would just hit that. Make it the pen line. Marker 3.5. I don't know why this is being uncooperative with me today. Just because, oops, I didn't want to take that out of the center. Watch doing that. You need to move this. So this is in the center. You just spread that out. Center. And then see, this would be not. This would go up really nicely. It doesn't have to have, it's not it's square, but it's not, but it's curved. Anyway, I hope you play, and thank you for watching. I sure appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.